Hello, CLC, Capella, Rhythms, and all within our organization. This is Chaplain Brian coming to you from high atop the Bluffs Park near Lone Tree. But one of the things that I was thinking about today was perspective. So I came up here to help us be reminded of a perspective that is encouraging, that's hopeful, because I know there's a whole lot of suffering going on throughout our organization right now, and I know in my community it's particularly difficult. But this whole issue of suffering and what do we do with it, it's that 400-pound word that we use that's theodicy, but it simply means how can a good God allow suffering? But I was reminded this morning in a devotional my wife did by Jen Wilkin called In His Image. She says that suffering's helpful when we ask important questions we may not take time to think about in our normal routine. Suffering's helpful when we are prepared by it to identify and comfort others who suffer. Suffering also can be helpful when we are more than open to help from others. And suffering can be helpful when we are more sensitive, because we can be more sensitive to the amount of suffering in the world. And finally, suffering's helpful when we turn to God for understanding, endurance, and deliverance. But it can be harmful when we become hardened by it, or allow it to make us selfish, or we withdraw from others and the help they desire to give us. Suffering can be harmful when we reject the opportunity it provides for God to bring out good out of calamity. And so today, that's my hope for all of us, is that we would find suffering helpful today, even in the contrast of when it's harmful. But just remember in this Easter week that the message is life and light and hope and a whole new perspective. There's the perspective. God's creation. Take time to look around today. Sit outside, breathe a fresh breath of air, listen for the birds and the crickets and the wind and the trees and all of God's creation breathing life, because that's what we have the privilege to do every single day in the midst of suffering. God bless you all.